Alright guys and girls, it's that time again. We're bringing you another Pinterest food challenge. Like I told you guys earlier, every 2 weeks I'm going to be picking a recipe off of Pinterest to see if I can do it just as good or even better. And tonight we're going Cajun again. I'm probably killing you guys with all the Cajun food. Next Pinterest challenge will be something a little different. Tonight we're going to be taking on a few different Pinterest recipes on dirty rice. So we're going to be making dirty rice from scratch, but we're going to be serving it with some Cajun chicken tenders. Now, that's not a Pinterest recipe. That's my recipe. So, guys, this is going to be great to make if you have some time during the weekdays or even on the weekends. And if your kids want bojangles, you can actually tell them we have bojangles at home and not lie to them. So, let's get started. Before we get anywhere with our dirty rice, let's go ahead and get our chicken prepped and marinated. What I have in front of me are 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've trimmed. We're just going to cut these suckers in half and make them into strips. Alright, we're not going to go crazy with the seasonings here because between the marinade and the Cajun seasoning that's going to be in the breading, it's going to be a lot of salt. So we're just going to hit this very slightly with some kosher salt. Not a lot. Because, again, we're getting salt in the marinade, and then we're getting a lot of salt in that Creole Cajun seasoning that I use. So we're just going to massage these in. We're going to wash up real quick and get the marinade going. And as always, as I do when I'm making any chicken marinade, this is 2 cups of regular buttermilk. And to it, we're going to be adding 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of ground white pepper, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons garlic powder, 1 teaspoon onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And we're just going to whisk that in and make sure it's well combined. Again, that's why we just barely seasoned our chicken. Because this marinade is going to bring in the rest of what we need here. We're just trying to work all the lumps out. And then in goes the chicken. Make sure they're evenly coated and pushed down. All right, so now we're going to wash up, put a lid on this, and put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. All right, so there's many different ways to make Cajun dirty rice. This is going to be kind of like a balance between what is traditional and what is restaurant style with a little Mad Chef twist. One of the big differences is I hear that traditional Cajun dirty rice uses chopped up chicken livers, gizzards, some sort of offal, or offal, however you say it, from chicken. And I just absolutely cannot stand organ meat of any kind. So I'm going to be omitting that. And today we're going to be using a mixture of 80-20 ground beef and sage sausage. Now you can use any sausage that makes you happy. But when it comes to Creole and Cajun cuisines, sage is a spice that really does stand out in the flavor profile. So I'm using like a pound of Jimmy Dean sage ground sausage. So let's take this to the stove. All right, so what I've got in this pan is just enough olive oil to coat the bottom. And like I do when I cook lasagna, I've combined the beef and the sausage together to make one cohesive chunk of meat. And we're just going to let that sit and sear before we start to crumble this bad boy. Oh yeah. So it's been about 3 minutes. I want to give this sucker a flip. And we'll let the other side sear. You definitely do not want a whole lot of olive oil in the bottom of this pan because between the beef and the sausage, it's going to have its own fat, liquid fat in the bottom. You don't want to have greasy rice or have to strain off all your fat. So we're going to let this other side sear, then we're going to start to crumble it up. All right, it's time to give it a little flippy flip again. All right, now we're going to start crumbling our beef and sausage, and I want to reduce this down to about a medium-high heat now. will just say right now that the smell of this sausage and beef cooking up together is amazing. I just want to eat it as, you know, just like it is before adding anything else to it. It's just something that's magical when you combine beef and pork together in a pan like this. It is just phenomenal. One of my favorite things to eat is just sausage and pork. I mean, sausage and beef. Now we're just going to season the taste with a little kosher salt and a little ground black pepper. And now we're just going to just cook this fully the rest of the way. The reason why we're turning it down to a medium heat is to make sure that, one, we're not overcooking and drying out our sausage, and two, we just want these flavors to build. We want to make love to this dirty rice. That's why it's called dirty rice. You make love to it. Alright, that only took a couple minutes, and now our beef and pork mixture is done. I'm just going to take a little taste of it as is, because I'm just curious to see what this tastes like. Oh, that's magnificent. Oh my God. Alright, now we're going to create a well, and time to add our veggies in. Alright, so traditionally you're going to use what's called the Holy Trinity in Cajun cooking, which is onion, celery, and bell pepper. I modified this a little bit to what's called a Texas Trinity. No, I didn't make that up. It's a real thing. So instead of one bell pepper, I'm using one jalapeno pepper that I've seeded, because I do not like bell pepper. So this is one yellow onion, one jalapeno, and 2.5 stalks of celery, all chopped up. Guys, if you guys are watching from Louisiana or Cajun, I hope you guys do forgive me for my weird palate. I'm still going to church. It's just a different denomination. It's still a Trinity. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get all these nice, beautiful veg cooked up until it is translucent. Oh, I also forgot to mention, we're adding in 4 cloves of fresh garlic that I diced myself. Give it a little extra oomph. Gotta have garlic. Yep, and all our vegetables are really light in color now. Took about, you know, maybe 10-15 minutes, probably around 15-ish. Now we're going to start turning up the heat again. We're back on high heat. We want to start toasting off our rice. Essential step right here. Alright. This is 2 cups of the usual rice that I use, you know. That good old-fashioned GV parboiled rice. Now, how long you toast this for is completely up to you. I'm trying to go for a, you know, a fairly brown-looking dirty rice. All we're trying to do right now is to get some color on it. Even with the olive oil on the bottom of the pan, there wasn't a whole lot of excess, really no excess. It's all getting used, which means we have all the flavor in this dirty rice. And it's already starting to look pretty beautiful if you ask me. Alright, I'm starting to notice a little sticking in the bottom of my pot, so it's time to go ahead and add the next step. This is, well, technically you're going to need about 4 cups of stock, but I kind of ran a little short of that, so this is 3 cups of low-sodium chicken stock and 1 cup of water. We're just going to go ahead and get that going. And to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of my homemade Creole Cajun seasoning. Guys, you guys really have to watch that Bojangles chicken challenge that I did a little while back is the exact same Cajun seasoning. I use it for everything Cajun now. So I'll put a link in the description and a card floating around. So that way you guys can learn how to make a really great and flavorful Creole Cajun seasoning. Also, I'm going to toss in 2 bay leaves. We're going to bring this up to a boil. Then we're going to reduce the heat down and simmer this off. We don't want any liquid left behind. So when it's done, it's just going to be a solid dish. No excess liquid. So let's go ahead and start boiling this off. And then we're going to get ready to prepare our chicken. As you guys can clearly see, while the dirty rice was cooking off, I've already gotten my breading station put together. It's been 30 minutes, so you got to love how this all kind of timed itself out together. And speaking of which, my dirty rice is boiling. So I'm going to give it a stir. Put it down on medium heat. And we're just going to let it reduce until there's no liquid remaining. Please keep an eye on this and make sure we're stirring as needed. You don't want all that goodness stuck to the bottom and burnt. Alright, so all I've got here is my usual breading mix. You guys should know it by now. This is 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of cornstarch. And then I use the rest of my Cajun seasoning. I was shooting for a cup of Cajun seasoning, but this is probably closer to 3/4, but that's going to be more than enough. So I'm just going to be spooning in my marinade as I do. And I'm just going to start working this with my fingers until these crumblies start to appear. You should see little bitty flour balls, dough balls appear. Really fine balls. That's what my wife tells me I have. Yeah. Alright, go ahead and get a little more in there because those crumblies are going to create a crunchy, flaky crust. So now that I've got a lot of crumblies, it's time to dredge our chicken. Just one at a time. Make sure we are aggressively pressing our chicken in. Now that's a chicken tendy. And repeat this until all your chicken pieces are completely breaded. Alright guys, the breading is done and we have a lot of chicken tendies. So let's go ahead and take this over to the deep fryer. So my oil is at 375 as per usual. We're going to cook these 3 at a time. These are relatively thin, so we're going to check them for doneness in about 4 minutes. Alright, it's been 4 minutes. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, that looks good. What do you temp though? They may need another minute. So 1 more minute. Alright, so that's it, y'all. Drop these down 3 at a time, cook for 5 minutes, and they'll be perfectly cooked. The dirty rice is coming along well, almost completely reduced. I'll give you guys a good shot of that when it's done. This is our dirty rice. It is done. And does that not look amazing? So I'm going to pull out that bay leaf. We've still got plenty of chicken left to cook. So after all the chicken's done, we're going to serve this up and plate it. Alright guys, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. Would you take a look at that? This is absolutely beautiful. Alright, this is our dirty rice. It looks gorgeous. I can already tell you right now, these are the best Cajun chicken tenders you'll ever put in your mouth. And I'm not saying that because I made it. I'm saying it because that Cajun seasoning makes all the difference. Ten out of 10, hands down. I don't even miss Bojangles right now. We've got this Cajun chicken thing down to a science. Alright, now let's taste this beautifully made dirty rice. I mean, it's good. It's hearty. It's savory. Will I put it up there with Bojangles? No. And I'm going to tell you why. On a 10 scale, I would put this at about 7. I think the what's bringing down the richness of this is the fact that I used that 80-20 ground beef. I feel like it needs a little more meaty flavor in it. So next time when I make this, I'm going to use a second roll of sage sausage, because I'm used to getting my dirty rice from Bojangles, and it's got that oomph. It's got that great, really hearty, really meaty flavor to it. And I feel like the lack of seasoning and the lack of fat in that ground beef really kind of took away some of the richness that it needs. So guys, if you're going to make it, I would recommend putting in a second 1-pound roll of Jimmy Dean sage sausage. Now guys, I'm not saying this is bad, because it is really, really good. We got the flavor profile down. It's honestly some good rice. So until next time, this is your boy Mark, the Mad Chef. This was another Pinterest challenge. Let me know how I did, guys. If you have any more suggestions on what to look for on Pinterest, or a Pinterest recipe, you want me to try, comment them down below. And you never know, you just might see it on the channel. Until next time, bon appetit. Mad Chef is out.